Today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. The time is 7 p.m. Eastern. Welcome to Geopolitical Updates from AGI Era. The shadow of a new arms race lengthens across the globe tonight as the critically important New START treaty between the U.S. and Russia approaches its expiration with no clear path to renewal. This foundational agreement, which has for years placed limits on deployed strategic nuclear warheads for both nations, now teeters on the brink. The potential collapse of this treaty could unravel decades of arms control efforts, ushering in an era of unchecked nuclear expansion. For individual citizens like Natalia, a war widow forced to rebury her husband in Kiev due to Russia's battlefield gains, this growing geopolitical instability translates into a profoundly personal and devastating reality. The broader implications of this strategic vacuum are immense, signaling a profound shift in global security architecture and a return to a more dangerous, less predictable nuclear landscape. The ramifications extend far beyond the arsenals themselves, influencing regional conflicts and international alliances. Turning our attention to the persistent conflict in the Middle East, Israeli strikes have reportedly killed 20 individuals in Gaza, according to hospital sources. These fatalities, which include several children, occurred after an Israeli soldier was wounded by gunfire. Israel's military states these strikes were launched in direct response to the attack on its troops, underscoring the ongoing cycle of violence and retaliation in the region. In a separate development impacting international trade, the U.S. and India have finally struck a long-delayed trade deal. While Indian industry has largely welcomed the prospect of lower tariffs, experts are urging caution against premature celebration, emphasizing that the finer details and long-term implications of this agreement require further clarification. This accord could signify a recalibration of economic influence between these two significant global players. Focusing on mounting regional tensions, the U.S. military has reported shooting down an Iranian drone. The unmanned aerial vehicle was reportedly flying towards an American aircraft carrier operating in the Arabian Sea. This incident marks a significant escalation, highlighting the potential for direct military confrontation in a strategically vital waterway. Shifting to Europe, a German activist has been jailed in Hungary following attacks that occurred during a Nazi rally. The 25-year-old, who identifies as non-binary, has seen their supporters raise serious questions regarding the fairness of their trial within the Hungarian legal system, drawing international scrutiny to human rights and political justice within the EU. Finally, in North Africa, Libyan prosecutors have initiated a formal probe into the killing of Muammar Gaddafi's son. The 53-year-old, who was once widely considered the second most powerful figure in Libya, was reportedly killed by unknown gunmen. This investigation underscores the continued political instability and internal power struggles that plague the post-Gaddafi era in Libya. Our primary focus tonight centers on the impending expiration of the New START treaty, a cornerstone of global nuclear arms control, and the palpable fear it instills regarding a potential new arms race between the U.S. and Russia. This bilateral agreement, which has served as the sole remaining pact limiting the number of deployed strategic nuclear warheads for both superpowers, is poised to lapse without an apparent successor. The cessation of this treaty's constraints represents a critical juncture, dismantling a framework that has for decades provided a degree of predictability and stability in the strategic nuclear domain. From a strategic standpoint, the absence of New START removes vital verification mechanisms, significantly reducing transparency into the nuclear arsenals of the two largest nuclear powers. This opacity can foster mistrust and miscalculation, potentially leading to a more aggressive posture from both Washington and Moscow. For instance, reports from sources such as Al-Monitor highlight that Russian military strategists have increasingly viewed tactical nuclear weapons as a potential deterrent in conventional conflicts, a doctrine that could be further emboldened without the overarching limitations of New START. Conversely, Western analyses from outlets like Reuters emphasize concerns in the Pentagon regarding Russia's development of novel nuclear weapons systems, which were not explicitly covered under the treaty's original scope. These discrepancies in reporting, particularly from independent and regional media, underscore the differing interpretations and anxieties driving each nation's strategic planning. The economic implications of this development are profound. A new arms race would necessitate substantial increases in defense spending from both the U.S. and Russia, diverting critical resources from other sectors such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education. For the U.S., the cost of developing and deploying new warheads and delivery systems could run into hundreds of billions of dollars over the next decade. Russia, despite its economic challenges, would likely prioritize similar investments, further straining its national budget. This fiscal burden wouldn't be confined to these two nations. Allied states would also face pressure to modernize their own defenses or increase contributions to collective security arrangements like NATO, creating a ripple effect across global economies. Furthermore, the expiration of New START could trigger shifts in the global balance of power. Smaller nuclear states might feel compelled to expand their arsenals or pursue advanced weapons technologies, perceiving a weakening of the international non-proliferation regime. This could lead to a more complex and perilous global security environment with a greater risk of regional nuclear proliferation. The current landscape, already fraught with tensions in areas like the Indo-Pacific and the Middle East, would become even more volatile. The long-term strategic consequences are equally concerning, eroding the foundation of international arms control and potentially normalizing the pursuit of strategic advantage through nuclear escalation. It could also diminish the leverage of international bodies like the UN in mediating nuclear disputes, leaving global security more dependent on unilateral national decisions rather than multilateral agreements. Today's geopolitical landscape is marked by the escalating tensions surrounding the New START Treaty's expiration and ongoing conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. The potential for an unchecked nuclear arms race looms large, alongside continued regional instability. For our watch list over the next 24 hours, we'll be closely monitoring any statements from either the U.S. or Russian foreign ministries regarding potential last-minute negotiations or alternative arms control proposals, with specific attention to any declarations from the Kremlin regarding their strategic forces. Secondly, we will watch for any further military actions in the Gaza Strip or the Arabian Sea, specifically observing any reports of increased naval presence or air defense activations from regional or international sources.